Pittsburgh doesn't appear to be in the coaching market. They came out and already said that, like, Tomlin's coming back.
It's the Steelers, man.
Right. This has reached a boiling point, I think, in the city with the fan base and the media alike. I didn't play it yesterday, and I don't know if you've heard this yet, but wide receiver George Pickens was asked about growth offensively and if the growth carries over. So did he see growth this year? Here is George Pickens in the postgame.
Yeah, I seen signs of growth for sure. From past, the first year I've been here, just way more growth for sure.
Does that make you optimistic going forward?
Nah.
What?
Is that the most dismissive? Nah.
Is that, what is it about that franchise and wide receivers? What is it about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the guys that they draft that just...
Since Hines Ward, they've kind of stumbled into some, goofiness.
Dude, just weird characters,
Yeah.
bad locker room guys.
Yeah.
George Pickens is an incredible talent. Nobody doubts that.
Right.
He had a nice little game on Saturday night. He was one of their best weapons and had the long touchdown that you're like, hey, maybe they're going to make a little comeback in this game, and not so fast, my friend. That was on the heels of a game in which he was talking trash to fans and had 5 targets and 3 drops and couldn't catch a football to save his life in a game in which they needed to win to stay alive in the division.
Well, I want to play a cut here from our friends at 93.7 The Fan. There was a takeaway on one of the shows, but these are the quarterbacks Mike Tomlin has lost to in the playoffs. Blake Bortles, Baker Mayfield as a second-year guy.
They got killed in that game.
And Tim Tebow.
That's right. The slant, the 80-yard
Tim
touchdown.
Tebow beat Mike Tomlin in a playoff game.
Tebow.
They also missed the playoffs in 2012, 2013, 2018, 2019, and 2022. It's not that he's a bad coach. Me betting against him being under 500 this year wasn't like, oh, Mike Tomlin. It's just I didn't like the roster. I didn't really like the quarterback situation. But he did it again. Over 500, let's tout the stat, and then not win a playoff game. I just think you reach boiling points. TJ Watt was asked in his exit interview what needs to change. He said it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And I don't think he's taking a shot at Tomlin. I think he's just being honest. How do you explain and be okay with what's happening in Pittsburgh?
If I were a fan of that team, I wouldn't. And this would have been my breaking point. It's awesome to be relevant every year. You know that he's a respected head coach across the league. And I don't even think all of it is on Mike Tomlin. It's unfair to just he's not the general manager. He's not making all of the roster decisions. Not all of this falls on his shoulders.
No, but they've changed general managers in his tenure. The owner was a little more active when he started as the coach of this. Coordinator changes have been a lot.
Well,
has
and that's
changed.
the stuff that I would point to him
the
on.
Constant.
They hired Arthur Smith to be their offensive coordinator, which everybody in the outside looked and said, "What's the guy you're going to?"
Yeah, but the guy before him sucked, and the guy before him he's had a bad run since Roethlisberger was.
Well, I wouldn't say good. I would just say they haven't been elite because they're good every year. They're above 500 and they're in the playoffs more years than they're not. They can't get over that next hurdle, and the biggest thing that is keeping them from doing that is they have not been able to answer the most important question that any football team has to answer. Who the hell is your starting quarterback and what's your long-term plan there? And I know people hear us rant about this sometimes and they just roll their eyes and say, well, yeah, is there some tree out there that star quarterbacks are growing on? You can go grab one off of. No, but you're going to tell me that coming into the year you thought Russell Wilson was going to do it? So what's your plan going to be next year to upgrade that position? What are you going to do? Are you going to go after a guy in the draft? Are you going to go try and find Sam Darnold if the Vikings move on, if that's your move? I don't think that would be the worst idea possible because I'm not overreacting to 2 bad games from Darnold. But the reality for them is until they take that position seriously and have a plan there, this is who they're going to be because they're elite defensively. They're going to be in a lot of games because of that. They're going to win a lot of games because of that. But they're not going to be able to get over the hump until they answer the quarterback question.
Here's 93.7 The Fan on Mike Tomlin yesterday following their blowout loss to the Ravens.
This organization is just so badly in need of new ideas.
A new approach, a new philosophy, an acknowledgement that what they've been doing isn't working.
And people might, I think the comeback to that is, well, really, it just boils down to the quarterback. Get a good quarterback, and all of your problems are washed away. But that new philosophy or new energy or new outlook, I think, helps you find and develop the right quarterback. I have no faith in what they're doing now and who they have in charge is going to be able to groom one or get more out of a player than the team that he like these reclamation projects, for example. I have no confidence that they would be able to do that with someone.
And there's like Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, and if like I'm a Steeler fan, I'm rolling my eyes at that idea. Like, enough with these older veteran guys that aren't amazing. That you think, okay, well, we want to be 9-8 or 10-7 again, so we can just face the same fate. Sando, who I cited in the Factoid Tuesday, he's a great analytical writer. He wrote a really good piece at The Athletic yesterday. This is no different than Pete Carroll in Seattle or Andy Reid in Philadelphia. It's not always just like, he sucks. It's just sometimes it runs its course.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there since 2000 and 8?
That's a long time, yeah.
07, 08? Like,
how long
that,
been.
it's 2025. Good coach. Somebody would pick him up in a sec. He'd be the new Mike Vrabel.
Yes, he would.
But for Pittsburgh, you're rolling this over because you're cool being over 500. You're not a contender.
2007.
2007.
First year in Pittsburgh.
You were in high school.
They won the Super Bowl the next year.
You have a child now.
I do. That was a long time ago, man.
I don't know. It's a weird thing because there's actual teams looking for coaches. We could get to Dallas. They might be looking at Dion. There's another name that emerged this morning that I'm like, really? That's their answer at coach? Like, okay. Swag's probably glad, even though his Chargers suck, that he moved on.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh's one that's not, and they absolutely should. I just think it's run its course.
I understand the host's point there about not trusting the organization to develop a guy. I would just say they haven't really even given themselves that opportunity. Like, they held on to Ben Roethlisberger too long. The end of that was ugly. His last year in the regular season, he barely threw 20 touchdown passes. Like, it wasn't pretty. Their first year post Ben Roethlisberger, their quarterback situation was Kenny Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky, in which their quarterback room combined for 12 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. The next year, it was Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, and Mitchell Trubisky, in which their quarterback room for the entire season combined for 13 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And then this year, they pivoted to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
I don't think it's a coincidence, Dirt, that the last time they had elite quarterback play where maybe you told yourself they can do this, it was their last playoff win. It was the year you and I were in Vegas, and they got to the AFC title game, and they got blown out in that game, if my memory serves correct.
They did. They got killed in New England.
But that was the last time they had.
Roethlisberger was still a good quarterback in the league.
He was still good.
He was not over the other
cratered.
side of the hill yet,
Yeah.
and then that ended quickly. And they just, you're going on 5-6 years now where they just kind of held on too long, and then it's been, let's take a flyer on Pickett. Well, that didn't really work out. Let's try a reclamation project. Well, Russ didn't really work out this year. We gave Fields a chance early, but he's not an elite thrower of the
Rodgers
football
next year, thinking that's going to solve anything.
And I think they're going to do the same exact thing. They're going to go find one of these guys and maybe try and hit on a reclamation, because it gets back to the point of originally bringing up, they're in that bad spot. Like, you're not bad enough to have a top 5 pick where you can go have a chance to go get somebody. Doesn't mean the only quarterbacks that are difference makers are taken there, and then you're not good enough to win. You're just in that kind of no man's land of being good but not good enough.